Hello and welcome to my review of Silica. For a brief introduction, Silica is an FPS RTS hybrid where you can command troops and be the troops and vehicles at once. Based in the exoplanet of Baltarus, you can play as the humans or the aliens in a larger hunt for territory in Balterium. This game is still in its alpha stage, so expect many changes from this video. Alright, so first, let's examine the different aspects of this game. Focusing on Silica's FPS and vehicle modes, I have a pretty positive view on it after playing it for a while, so I come to this conclusion. Silica's FPS modes are generally a joy to play, especially its epic battles and sieges, but the gameplay as an individual is rather incomplete and laggy. So elaborate on what makes Silica's FPS pretty good, there are multiple reasons why. First, the size and scale of the battles. Fighting in intense battles like this is one hell of a blast due to the sheer amount of units fighting in the battle and how spectacular it looks. You see why now? So that the vehicles and larger alien units are extremely fun to play, with satisfying sound effects, controls, and their powerful attacks contributing to overall experience in the vehicles that can really help many operations. Their diversity in size and attack power can increase the amount of gameplay styles that accompanies every type of unit and vehicle. For example, the slow hover tanks can be used as the main fighting force in taking out heavy opponents and taking down enemy structures, and on the other hand, the fast light quads can be used for reconnaissance, light patrol, and attack. Finally, the freedom of exploration and operation gives you the liberty to simply patrol your territory while cruising around and enjoying the landscape. Though this doesn't really seem important, it definitely is for me, which makes the gameplay more flexible instead of boring and rigid missions and rounds. However, what do the FPS modes lack? I really feel like the FPS mode of Silica is incomplete and lackluster, which does make sense because it's still in early access. For example, as an infantryman, the gunplay is really simple, with just a shoot and aim feature. There's no reloads, grenades, mines, or any other feature that really makes the actual FPS feel effective in combat, and therefore it feels unfinished. There are also balancing issues as well, such as the effectiveness of each unit in battle. However, I do have a positive opinion on the FPS mode of Silica, and it's an absolute blast to play. Now we have the RTS mode. The strategy mode is pretty similar to other games with resources, tech trees, and more. It's a relatively simple RTS style like other games, but contains some disadvantages that need to be addressed. Most of them are small quality of life issues that could be easily fixed, such as a lack of an option to see the entire map, better AI navigation systems, and a relatively small tech tree. However, the gameplay is pretty acceptable for the most part, and it's fun building up a huge army and raiding enemy bases. Basically, it's pretty average for an RTS game, but has some minor inconveniences. Now to the key feature of Silica, the fusion of RTS and FPS modes. From an RTS perspective, you can switch to an FPS mode of an individual unit while still preserving the role of a commander. What does this mean? It means that you can participate in your own organized battles as one of your own units while still being the commander and not having an AI commander take over your role and ruin the battle by commanding its own units. For FPS players, however, there's no way of being the leader of a small squad of soldiers, so there's no method of having some sort of strategy mode by controlling little groups of troops. However, I do think that this feature is not bad at all, but can still have some improvements, especially for infantry soldiers. But what about the performance? It's not bad. For me, it averages around 45 FPS at the high graphics option, which is more than playable. However, sometimes it actually runs at a really low FPS on other servers, and that makes me speculate that the lag also has causes in the server quality itself in addition to the actual gameplay. However, the performance has gotten way better in the past month with optimizations and performance updates, but lower spec computers have made trouble handling the performance. Fortunately, the devs also did release an update about the progress with Silica in the past 2 months, citing that they have put performance on a top priority. So in the future, the performance may become way better. Alright, so time to get some other things out of the way. Is it pay to win? No, not for now. Graphics. Alright, so what about the graphics? It's actually quite good. You got all the textures, shaders, and lighting, and all sorts of good stuff like that. The controls and weapon systems are also pretty straightforward, so you won't need a fancy wheel or anything. Additionally, there are 4 maps and 3 game modes currently: Prospector, Arena, and Strategy mode. Strategy mode is the main mode for Silica, with the RTS FPS hybrid gameplay. Arena is simply a PvP server in FPS format, where it's a multiplayer PvP combat server that's wildly fun. Prospector is a single or co-op mode gameplay that makes you be a solo fighter in a hostile desert. There isn't much diversity here, but it's still satisfactory, and more things should be added in the future. To sum it up, I give Silica an 8 out of 10 if you consider that it's still an alpha. The gameplay, though suffering from some performance problems, contains epic battles and intense skirmishes that made it worth the $20 for me. So look out for future reviews to get a good glimpse of the present day game. Anyways, I hope my review helped you make an educated purchase, and be sure to watch other reviews to have an unbiased understanding of the game.